we're back once again with the Pop Culture Cosmos PCC Multiverse. It is, of course, Gerald Glassford. I truly want to thank you for joining us once again around the world on radio stations. Truly appreciate them playing us, and of course, you listening on those radio stations, and also as well, of course, wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, also as well, you want to go ahead and please like, subscribe, and if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or, of course, Spotify, give us that follow, give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts, the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Please go ahead and make sure you're in tune with what's going on in the world of pop culture right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my returning friend for the new year. And she is back indeed with the dogs a barking, the guns a blazing, and also the coats a racking. It is, of course, my good friend. She is the diva of all tabletop RPGs. And also, as well, she is the goddess of all play as far as just fantasy and everything that she does as far as the world of pop culture. Plus, if she knows that you're out of line, she takes care of you indeed. Absolutely. It is, of course, Melinda Barkhouse Ross. She has put me in my place for years now and will continue to do so in the new one.
Untrue, sir. Untrue.
Melinda, Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year.
What's been going on as far as our time away? I went to Seattle, did a lot of stuff there, but then, of course, CES. What have you been doing and what have you been up to in the realm of pop culture?
Really, it's been unabashedly busy. It's been strange, but we have fallen onto a couple of new shows that we are really enjoying, and we've gone back to pick one up in preparation for. I can't remember if it's a new season or a movie that's on the way, but we figured we might as well jump on the train now, and then we'll be ready for whatever that is that's coming out. So that's really kind of what we've been up to in terms of pop culture. We've found a couple of new things that we've really liked, and we've gone back to pick up some other stuff and be prepared for I can't remember if it's a movie or a new season. Anyway, whichever.
Well, do tell. What are those new seasons? What are those new things? Let us know.
So there's a new anime. It's on Netflix. Sakamoto, I believe, is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna say it reminds me of the House Husband show in terms of like he was in a gang and this guy was an assassin, and then he meets his wife working at like a convenience store and falls in love, and like within a year he's out of shape and he's all chubby and all of this stuff, and this kid from his past comes back to try to take him out, and it's a whole thing. It's really enjoyable. It's been really fun to watch, and really I think we're only maybe 4 or 5 episodes in so far. So it's a really good show though. Can't really recommend that enough. And I just saw that new season of Castlevania came out too. So I'm actually a little annoyed that we have to go out tonight because I would like to stay home and watch that. But these plans have been in for a while. So I guess we can't back out of social obligations just to watch cartoons. I guess.
Not necessarily.
Right. But the show that we've gone back to pick up is Peaky Blinders. And it's one of those shows. Yeah, it's one of those shows I can remember watching, and I would catch it like an episode here and there. And I always really enjoyed it, but it was never one of those shows that I was like, I'm gonna sit down and burn through a few episodes of Peaky Blinders. But I keep catching the shorts on across everything. It's on Facebook. You can't really go to YouTube without coming across something about Peaky Blinders, it seems. So it's been a lot of those shorts doing what they were intended to do, and that is to drive you back to the show to watch the show. So we're finally watching through that, and we just got to the point where they bought Polly the big house, and her, I mean, do I have to say spoilers? It's been out for like 1,000 years at this point.
I think you're good by now.
I think so, right? So her adopted son has just kind of come and is at the house, and that's really the last episode that I really remember us watching. So that's about how far in we are. But
Okay.
yeah, nah, it's been pretty fun. And again, I can't remember if it's another season that they're doing or if it's a movie. I feel like it's a movie, but that's kind of what spurned us going back to pick up Peaky Blinders, along with seeing all of those incredible scenes and stuff that you get to watch on reels and shorts on YouTube and stuff. So, yeah, Peaky Blinders has kind of been what we've been up to.
All right, fair enough. I've been great to hear that you're catching up on pop culture. There was also a season one, which I rewatched again in preparation for season two that just dropped. We'll talk about that in a bit. Plus, also as well, SNL. We know hit 50 last year, but they finally got around to finishing up a doc on it with Peacock. Squid Games has dominated the world once again. We were going to go ahead and discuss that because you and I have to pat ourselves on the back one more time because we'll go ahead and do that because we were on the food train before anyone else. Daredevil Born Again, that trailer dropped this past week, so we'll discuss that as well as far as the whole reimagining of Daredevil Born Again as it comes out later this year. CES 2025, I wanted to go ahead and share my thoughts on that. And of course, I didn't get a chance to with all everybody else's thoughts on pop culture. I know I shared my worst stuff with Josh weeks ago, but I never did share my best stuff. So I want to go ahead and share what tickled my fancy in the year 2024 as well. But first, my friend, you know the Switch, Nintendo Switch has been one of the most popular consoles, gaming consoles of all time. And finally, after much speculation, after many thousands of leaks, after even going to CES and hearing the stories about the company who had accessories already laid out because they already had a work plan that had been secretly sent to them. So they already had accessories planned out for the mapped prototype, per se, of it. The Switch 2 was finally and officially announced. It's for arrival sometime this year. They did not pinpoint the date yet on it, but it's larger. The screen is larger. The Joy-Cons, they magnetically connect onto the sides instead of just slide through. They've added another USB port, among other quality of life changes. Your thoughts on the Switch 2? Again, I know you're a diehard PlayStation fan. I'm in recent years, after claiming many years, I've on the I guess the equivalent of gaming Switzerland. I've started to side with Xbox more, so I won't be ashamed in saying that. But I think it's where Nintendo, where everybody meets. Everybody always seems happy that, yeah, we'll go ahead and play the Switch. Oh, we'll go ahead and play the Wii. Oh, well, actually, nobody played the Wii U, but oh, we'll go ahead and play the Wii. We'll go ahead and play the Nintendo 64. We'll go ahead and play the Switch. Are you looking seriously after what you saw at the Switch 2?
Well, probably. I mean, we it was always one of those things like, well, we'll get it next Christmas. I'll get it for you for Valentine's. We'll get it for
Yeah.
you for Easter. You know, it's been that kind of thing for us. We just haven't made the purchase. So now Switch 2 is coming out. So I guess we'll just wait now and get the second one. I mean, you know, the first version of anything is usually now I've already thought of like three things that I'm gonna be called out for, but usually the second version of any kind of hardware is an improvement over the first.
Hmm.
Usually, I'm thinking of a couple of things off the top of my head that are exactly the opposite of that happening, but usually.
Hmm.
So, yeah, we wouldn't buy a Switch. We would just wait for Switch 2 to come out.
Or wait until the Switch drops in price because
I
you
mean,
still
that's
get ways out there as well.
yeah, that's an option, and that's probably much more likely to happen. But you know, with that announcement, I mean, why not hold on and see what happens?
Switch 2 did say it's going to be compatible with virtually the entire library of Switch games, so
Yeah.
you'll still always have that as far as from a digital or physical standpoint. I think there's going to be some variations, like for instance, the Ring Fit, the exercise gimmick on the Switch. I don't think will be compatible because the Joy Cons are different with the
Right.
Switch 2, so you probably won't be able to work that. But it's going to be like with 90% plus of the software that was made for the Switch, it will be compatible with the Switch 2. So that's a relief right there for Nintendo fans. Uh, the as far as the course with me, I I'm going to get one eventually. If you know, just the girls will want it for some reason. There'll be a Pokemon game coming out. I'll just probably have to get it for some reason at some point in time down the road. I'm just never in a rush anymore because with Nintendo, it's always about the fact that yes, their gameplay on their games, especially the first party games, are second to none. The way they design and have it work with the system, their games, the Nintendo branded games, is absolutely just so iconic when, especially when you have the Zeldas, the Mario's, the Metroids. You know, there is that series of games that they have that just makes it work so well within the confines of the system that no other third party can really figure out. But for me, it's always about pushing the boundaries of what we can see and do in the course of a game, and I just don't always find that in a Nintendo system, so I'm never out in a rush to get it. I eventually get it, like I eventually have the Nintendo Switch, but in recent years or in recent times it just sits there in the living room right in front of the TV just saying hi, play me, and we just don't use it. So if that's the case, I'm worried about the same thing for the Switch too, because I come here, if I want my retro fix, I'll just play on my computer. If I want my fix of what's modern, I'll just play my Series X. The Nintendo, I guess, basically, if I want to use it on a mobile platform or take it on the go, I guess that's good for now. But in a year where possibly this could be the best year for handhelds ever after coming off of a stellar year last year, that may not be the case anymore as well, Melinda.
Yeah, it seems like things are definitely moving towards everything being portable. And I saw a video, I think it was yesterday, and I showed it to Robbie, and it was such a peek into the future. It was a girl who had her virtual reality goggles on.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was the Google ones, the ones that are just kind of tinted in the front, or is that Apple? That might be Apple. Anyway,
Mm-hmm.
um, she was walking with that, and she was, doing the all of the hand things and poking at stuff in the air, and I mean that's where we're all headed, whether we like it or not. So, the fact that these things are becoming portable now is just a precursor to all of that stuff happening. And once it snowballs, it's going to happen real fast, I think.
Absolutely. So, with that, we will see what happens with the Nintendo Switch 2. Again, no price. No mention how powerful the chip is inside it. Again, what is the level of quality of games? Is it still a generation behind? For instance, will Nintendo Switch 2 only be able to play at the quality of, let's say, a PS4 or Xbox One? That's my also my concern, because again, even though that's still a great quality game in modern gaming, it's still a generation behind, and it will take quite the game for me to go ahead and get interested if that's the case on it, because anything ported to it will still look like last gen. Anything ported to it will still have the problems that it did on the Switch because of the fact modern gaming. Let's say you're a third party software maker and you bring out a game and you want to put it out on Switch 2, but you also make it out for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X, and it's going to really look that gap of trying to put, like for instance what we talked about with Mortal Kombat 1, how we
Yeah.
had that great laugh about how bad it looked
That was
because of the
shocking.
fact that yeah, they're trying to fit a square peg into the round hole. It worked for Harry Potter and it gained them millions of units, but the same company also did the Mortal Kombat game, and you saw how tragic it was there.
tragic. That is even tragic is a compliment to what happened there. Oh my goodness, that was wild.
But it is, of course, the Nintendo Switch 2. We'll keep our eyes open on exactly the date, uh, power, and everything going on as far as the games. Of course, Mario Kart 9 looked like the game that was represented on the one game that they showcased off. We don't know if it's a bumped up Mario Kart 8 or if it's a Mario Kart 9. We'll have to wait and see. But we'd love to hear your thoughts on what you think of Nintendo Switch 2. I have a feeling Josh and TJ and a lot of others are going to go ahead and knock on my door asking to go ahead and share their thoughts on Nintendo Switch 2. So if you have thoughts on Nintendo Switch 2, please let us know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's so much more to talk about on today's show. I want to go ahead and talk about something like we talked about at the beginning about you catching up on something in anticipation for a new season with Peaky Blinders. By the way, Josh would love you for that because he is also a Peaky Blinders fan. And also, I wanted to go mention that I did recently catch up with Severance for the fifth time, I believe. I watched that because you heard at nauseum back 3 years ago from me about how great this series was. Well, Apple TV did bring it out again, dropping the first episode late at night. For me, was a watch, but I'll tell you what, it was all worth it as I'm going back to the world of Lumen Industries. Severance 2, the best show on Apple TV, in my opinion, hit for this weekend. I want to hear your thoughts. I've been telling you now, and I've been telling Josh how great this series is. I understand Apple TV is not for everyone. There are some good series on that channel. Silo, For All Mankind, Pachinko are some that I would highly recommend. Severance is the best of all of them, but is there any way you'll go out of your way at some point to catch Severance?
I mean, you're selling it to me, but I just don't know. I mean, I just don't know that I can buy into another service. I have too many now, and
Mhm.
it's wild. So I don't know.
No worries. You're just like everybody else on the planet, so don't worry. I've too many of
Right.
the yes, the large cable bill has been replaced by a large streaming bill from all the stuff that's out there. So,
It's true,
uh,
and my gosh, that stuff added up quick because no, I'm sorry, I don't want to get into that. We're not complaining about that today. So
all right, all right. I'm just saying, but again, I do want to go ahead and say if you get a chance, please catch Severance season one. You can watch season one if you're on Roku. By the way, if you're on Roku, Apple did decide to go ahead and drop Severance on the Roku channel. So if you have Roku available in your area, you can also watch it there as well. And then again, season two just dropped its first episode. Definitely a return to the mystery about what's going on at Lumen Industries. Why are all the main characters in the situation that they're in? Especially after the way it left off in season one. I'll just leave it kind of broad like that because it's still
mm,
way into spoiler
tantalizing.
territory. Yes, but it is very mysterious. I think it's even more mysterious as far as the questions that it answered in the episode, but also the questions that are now given out there as far as the season one. It asked more questions than it answered once again. So it's required viewing that hopefully you'll be able to go ahead and check out Severance for everyone out there. Season one again is available on Apple TV and also as well if you go ahead and check it out today. I think on the Roku channel I mentioned. Please go ahead and check it out there as well. And then season two just dropped and I'd love to have a conversation with anyone out there that wants to go ahead and check out Severance in the coming weeks and months. If you do, please let me know. PopCultureCosmos at yahoo.com. Other thing I wanted to mention, as far as, or other things I wanted to mention TV wise, my friend, was SNL Saturday Night Live just dropped a 50-year documentary on Peacock. Doesn't seem to be raising too many feathers, so it's probably from what I'm seeing and hearing, it's probably just it has I guess a lot of interviews with some longtime cast members, both ones that are from the past and ones from the present, but doesn't seem to be stepping on too many toes, so to speak, as far as the news is concerned. Any thoughts on catching up with Saturday Night Live? Has it been a staple for you, or is it something that you're curious about as regards to Peacock is concerned?
Well, it's Saturday Night Live was definitely something that I watched a lot more when I was younger. You know, I'm not gonna say I don't stay up late anymore because that's silly. Of course I do. I don't sleep. But I just don't find myself just watching traditional TV anymore. So I if I catch anything, it's just those little segments that pop up on social media. That's doing its job. It's keeping me aware of the skits that they're doing and the highlights and the slow lights in some cases. But the thing about Saturday Night Live is everybody has their favorite era. And depending on your age, it directly correlates to when you were, it's like that sweet spot for music, your active music listening age. It's a thing. You can Google it. And I feel like that probably overlaps a little bit with your active Saturday Night Live watching age. I think. But yeah, there's definitely, I think, different generations align with different eras of the show. And there's definitely times when, you hear from people who, just for example, Eddie Murphy, that era, some people really loved that. Other people didn't think it was funny. Then there's the era with Jimmy Fallon and all of those guys, Will Ferrell, all of those guys that other people adored that part. But it really does, I find, line up with like different age groups as you go through. So I feel like Saturday Night Live is a younger targeted show anyway. And if you watch the audience and you watch people who are reacting to different parts of the documentary, I'm sure that there will be those kinds of discussions. Even I want to say friendly debates, perhaps even around the dinner table about which version of Saturday Night Live was the best. I just feel like that's an ongoing debate that pops up between or among generations.
I will tell you something right now, though. It's great to see all the different people that have, you know, graced SNL over the years decide to share some of their thoughts and some of their memories, whether it's good or bad, on the show. They
Mhm.
do drop a little tidbits here that may have not been previously known to a general audience. So it is something that if you're a big SNL fan, I do recommend. So give it a watch on Peacock. It is SNL 50 Beyond Saturday Night. It's available right now on Peacock. But the thing was, we want to go ahead and touch on before the half-hour break. Did you get a chance to watch Daredevil Born Again? The trailer dropped for Disney Plus's show that's coming up in March. It is a revamped version of it because at one time they had grandiose plans to make it like a broadcast season in 20 some odd episodes, and they were going to go ahead and do something elaborate. They shot the first, 4 or 5 episodes, but Kevin Feige saw it and said, nah, 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 this ain't working. So they wiped it clean and fresh, brought some new writers in and revamped it. And now it's going to be like, I think, a 12 or 13 episode run. Your thoughts on Daredevil Born Again? He'll be born again in March.
I cannot wait to have Vincent D'Onofrio in that role grace my television screen again.
Okay.
Just the trailer. I mean, come on. Yeah, the guy that plays Daredevil, fine. Yeah, it's great. But the villain, that's who I watch that show for. My goodness, that man is fantastic. He is
Vincent D'Onofrio, by the way.
he is ice cold and terrifying, but I want to be his friend.
And it's funny because in the trailer you see him and Charlie Cox trying to come to some sort of medium, I guess. Maybe they have a common enemy in mind that it kind of leads to. That's why they're talking to each other on a face-to-face basis in a coffee shop. but they both gone in different directions since I guess the events that took place on the Netflix series. So
Mhm.
they describe in broad detail. Of course, Kingpin becomes the mayor. That's not actually any slip there. It's something that was already been mentioned several times if you're watching the trailer or watching previous Disney shows. And then also, as well, of course, Charlie Cox mentions during the trailer that something bad happened, stepping over the line where has caused him to rethink and reevaluate his life as a vigilante going forward. So definitely it'll be interesting to see how this parlays out. And as I know, Disney's Marvel TV slate has not always been the best. It's been actually some of the worst, and I'll probably have it on. Well, if you heard my worst of, you already heard some of it already. But yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to Daredevil Born Again. I know that Josh is a huge Daredevil fan, so I know he's really looking forward to it. But I know Melinda, you're excited to see Vincent D'Onofrio, 13 episodes of him as well.
Yeah, I can't wait. He was so good in the first season. When he the car door scene, chilling. Chilling. I just I can't imagine as an actor what it must take to get to not not to like have to act through like the rage, but to get to the point where you're ice cold about it. That's the part that I just is incredible to me. He's so fantastic in that role. My goodness gracious.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, it's going to be something I think that's going to probably set the tenor for Marvel television yet to come, whether it not it gets it backs up and elevates itself after the success critically and hopefully as far as viewership wise of Agatha all along. We'll go ahead and see if that continues. But please let us know your thoughts, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But also, before we head to the break, pat yourself on the back once again, Melinda. You and I, when we were talking about this little show called Squid Games about a week to 10 days before everyone else in the planet was. I'm
Man,
like,
oh man.
man, oh man. It's like, I think people need to check this out. Might be a hit. I have a feeling it's something, might be. I didn't get the actual recording of what we said. It's way back in the archives, but you and I were on it and look at it now. The little baby has grown up after exploding onto the world with season
Had
one
a
and becoming
baby of its own now with season
yes.
2.
Yes, absolutely. Season 2 seems to be just as big, if not bigger. It is already, I think, third place all time on all the Netflix shows, including season 1, which is number 1. But at this rate, I think it will replace season 1 as far as being the most watched entity on Netflix all time. Your thoughts on Squid Game season 2 before we head on out?
We are savoring it. We are maybe 4 or 5 episodes in. I love how it has started, kind of like, well, you know what? I suppose I don't want to say anything because this is new enough that there could be spoilers. So I don't want to say too much, but I've enjoyed the switch and how the show has started season 2. I've enjoyed it. I think it's filled in some character stuff and yeah, no, I like it. I know a lot of people I've seen a lot of grumbles about it. A lot of people talking about how they just didn't enjoy it as much as season 1 or whatever, but like all things must evolve and season 2 couldn't just carbon copy and paste onto season 2. That wouldn't have been interesting for us to watch again. So they had to give us something quite a bit different instead of forcing us to confront everything that first season made us confront. So it was really good.
I bet it is, and I'll be catching it pretty soon myself, along with the rest of the entire world. It is, of course, Squid Game season 2. Looking forward to hearing Melinda's continued thoughts and also yours as well. It is, again, fast approaching some of the most popular Netflix shows of all time, in seasons of all time. It looks like it will probably surpass season 1 at some point to become the biggest entity ever on Netflix. So if you have thoughts on what Melinda and I knew about first in Squid Games, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, 1.5 hour down, 1.5 hour to go here on the PCC Multiverse. I did want to go ahead and mention my time in CES, which for this year, CES 2025 could have been renamed AI 2025
Yeah.
because everything seemingly had to have AI attached to it, AI attached to it. I remember there was a year where everyone, whether they were specialized in that certain electronics realm or not, had to have an Android box, a little gaming Android box. I think it was about 10 years ago or so. It was just this one year that everybody had. It started a little bit the previous year, but they just blew up where every single booth, seemingly like it was a car audio maker, still had to have an Android box of some type, the little gaming Android box, and everybody seemed to have one. And it was just like, this is getting nauseating. Just everybody following the lead. And the fact of AI, obviously, it's something with artificial intelligence, something different in that case. But everybody is seemingly following that trend. While some still fear AI in many sense, in many facets of our world, or some are still trepidatious about it, there are others, like in the electronics industry, as I saw, that are still embracing AI at this time, Melinda.
Yeah, I don't think that anything is going to say that AI isn't here to stay at this point. And yeah, the first to integrate, will be the first to sell their product. I feel like that's just a fact of things right now. And it's only going to get better from here. Like, this is the worst AI is ever going to be right this very second. Half an hour from now, it's already going to be better than it was a half an hour ago. That's AI. And it's silly not to think, like 3D printing, it's silly to think that that's not soon going to just become the standard.
Yeah, at some point it will.
Yeah.
There was the usual watch robots do push-ups and play soccer. That's pretty much standard, and everybody's gathered around like it's worth something. There's also VR, everything, there's so many VR stations and vendors, to seem like, okay, I get it, VR, VR, VR. It's funny because they have these stations, whether it's a huge driving chassis that they want you to sit in with the VR, or like a hydraulic, a actual like almost like a theme park ride type deal
Right.
where you sit with another person and it's just like on a hydraulics and it moves around and like you're on a and you've got the VR glasses on like you're out riding on a roller coaster or something like that. That there were instances of that there as well at CES. And these are things that the normal consumer could never afford. So I don't even know why it's there. I guess it's to show off the technology, but if you don't make these things affordable for the consumer, I don't really know why you're there. I mean, the Consumer Electronics Show is about consumer electronics. The first word in all this equation is consumer. Making these things for the general consumer is very important. I mean, you go to the bigger boys like Sony, or you go to Samsung, or Hisense, and you see that there are products that are going to be sold to the average consumer. Yes, they will have all the latest perks and things of that nature in it. The AI, they also go ahead, and you can't escape AI when you're at these larger entities about your washer and dryer having AI. Like I have a washer dryer now that has AI built in it. Other things like that. Your refrigerator having AI. The Samsung showing that off as far as the latest version of that. That's great and all well and good or not, but it's again, the have to be priced for the consumers. So the things that you should showcase there are the things that the consumer, the average consumer, can conceivably at some point in their time in life could be ready to buy.
Sure, but you have to show them the brass ring. You have to show them the things that the Joneses will have so that your average consumer has that brass ring to chase after. let's be
Okay.
honest, there is a large demographic that is like that and feels like they need to have the best of what is currently available and the newest and the most latest and the flashiest and has the most lights or is the most see-through or whatever that trend is right now. So I think that there is a portion of the consumer conglomerate, I guess, that wants to see what that brass ring is going to be and the things that they should be striving for because you know it really is that illness of keeping up with the Joneses. So I think it's clever of them to display it. This is what you really want, but we're going to sell you this one over here. And then eventually you're going to see why this one over here isn't as good as this one over here. So you're going to buy the really expensive one anyway. And we're already going to get you at this midpoint price point right over here. So it's very smart of them to do it.
Well, people were asking me what was the greatest thing I saw out of it, and with me, it's just about the conventional. I know that my arcade was there with their Game Station Pro, which is their version of a handheld, which will have 200 games, mainly Atari and Atari-related era games there. They're also bringing out a Capcom version of it and other things as far as a full handheld is concerned. So that was nice to see. But the thing I liked the most when I was there, Hisense, as we talked about in our Black Friday coverage, has a 100-inch television that is not a projection, that is a full LED that is out and available right now. It's available at Costco. You can get it right now. It was at a great price during the holidays, no longer, but I see the advancement of where it goes, and I'm always about the size of the television. So
Of
seeing
course.
a 160-inch television now displayed before my very eyes at CES when it comes to Hisense. Others were in the 100, 120 range as well. Just seeing it 160 LED is just Ah, just truly amazing to see that kind of size as far as the television is concerned. And for someone who enjoys larger televisions, this was something that I really enjoyed at that aspect of it. But yeah, overall, it was okay. Again, just you just have to the theme of everybody having AI, hopefully to make better products, uh, is in the like you said, with the idea of not only just the everyday consumer, but the idea of also showcasing what could be the end game for a
Yeah.
lot of these electronics. And the brass ring, like you talked about, it always makes it worthwhile going to CES to see what's new and what's interesting. And it was definitely my time was pretty good while I was there at CES. One more year, Melinda.
Good. I'm glad. I know it always ends up being a highlight of the year for you. So I'm glad to hear it was good again this year.
There you go. And a highlight for my walking skills. Yes, because as you and I have done with
Yes.
NAB, yes, the walking is even more paramount because it's even larger than NAB, about 140,000 people. Not quite the height it was before the pandemic, but still quite a large facility. And they're reshaping the Las Vegas Convention Center now as far as the facade, the front of it. So it was still under construction when I was there, but yes, all the halls were open, and yeah, just an amazing time while I was there. Uh, Again, of course, it is CES. I know that the Consumer Electronics Show is a highlight for a lot of people out there. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. If you saw something at CES that you want like me to talk about more, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But before we head on out, my friend, all right. I spoke before the end of the year with Josh about the worst of the year. You get to hear my best of. I heard your best and worst with you and Roberino, your
Mm-hmm.
hubby, sharing thoughts on that. But now it's time that I get to go ahead and share my thoughts on the best of pop culture for last year, much of which you can still catch. So, with that, I do have my list on my other computer here brought up. All right, where shall I start? Hmm.
Hmm.
I'm going to
Nice.
start with as far as on the lower end.
Okay.
with The Bear season 3.
Oh,
Not quite the heights of season 2. I think if you're a regular Bear fan, which I became last year, I crammed. I think I said it on the show with you that I crammed through all 3 episodes within a matter of like 2 weeks,
yeah.
or 3 seasons, excuse me, within a matter of 2 weeks to catch up on it. And in doing so, I thought season 3 of the 3 seasons was the weakest, but still there are episodes which reach that height of what the best of the bear is all about. I think the scene with the episode with Jamie Lee Curtis and she's comforting, as far as her daughter-in-law for her daughter, excuse me, or for pregnancy, because her daughter is pregnant and giving birth. I thought that episode was absolutely excellent and one of Jamie Lee Curtis's finest performances ever, which kind of offset her performance in Borderlands. But we'll,
Right.
need I
Yeah.
digress on that? But yes, I thought her
Hey,
performance there.
you can't roll a nat 20 every time, baby.
Yes, she didn't on that one for sure, but she did in this one as far as being such an outstanding mother support in this case because she's such a quirky individual on that show. And she's been nominated for Emmys and Golden Globes for her performance, especially in season 2 and season 3. Again, she hits a high note there. But yeah, overall it was kind of, as the I guess the crew starts to rebuild its own restaurant in the image that they want to see it and the bumps that are coming on the way. And I think that there was also some bumps in the way that show season came out as far as season 3. But season 3 for me, I think was again the weakest, but still compared to most other shows, it still had its high points that not many other shows hit. But one season that I think that you and I agree on that was good. Speaking of Marvel television, as I did earlier with Daredevil Born Again, Agatha All Along is on my
Mm,
best of list because I think that it's something that brings back Marvel television in the right direction after many years of very mixed results. Catherine Hahn once again kills it. Aubrey Plaza, uh, who I know has recently suffered through some tragic incidents in her own life. But in that show, she was in her limited appearances very good as well. And I think they both carried this show to a really good format and speaks about the future of what's going on with the I guess the Scarlet Witch side of things and her
yeah.
inevitable return to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because if anyone thinks she's dead, give me a break because she will be coming back in some form or another. But your thoughts on Agatha All Along and how that worked out for you?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It seemed like 2024 ended up kind of being the year of the witch, and a lot of really great witchy shows came out. The Mayfair Witch series, based on the Anne Rice novels, was really good. So I was here for 2024. I thought it was great, and I think that that series, was just another step in the right direction. And uh, I was also I didn't get to mention this when we talked about Daredevil, but when I watched the trailer, I was like, wow, they're not shying away from like any of the Daredevil things that you normally see. I know you know what I'm
The
getting at. Like,
violence. The
yeah, a
violence.
lot of it. Yeah, and still brutal violence. Which I'm still surprised. I am impressed, and I'm happy for it because I think Daredevil needs it. I just needed to get that out, I guess. But for Agatha All Along, no, I thought that was the right series at the right time, with the right cast, and it was just really well done.
The next one on my list is something that you and I had a difference of opinion on over the course of last year. The Legend of Vox Machina, Season
Yeah.
3.
Mm.
You did not like it off the get go. You said you were going to try and get back into it again. I enjoyed it from the get go. And the ending, even though the last episode kind of went into the, I guess, unrealistic end of it as far as the main character who was dead, super dead, really dead, was actually end up not being dead. And I'll leave it at that. And they, the way they made him not dead and back alive again was kind of like a reach and a half, even for D&D standards. And I'll just leave it at that. But did you ever get a chance to get back into Vox Machina again?
I tried. Yeah, I tried, but I got through maybe like another episode, but yeah, I don't know if I'm just over critical role in general or if I've just nothing about this season grabbed me. I just I don't know what it was. I cannot put my finger on it.
Also, as well, X-Men 97. I can't be remiss if I didn't give that its praises. I know that Josh was really, really loving X-Men 97. I thought it was really good as well. It's interesting that they have the showrunner of that season as fired shortly before it debuted, and a whole mess of stuff going on between him and Disney about what was said, what was done beforehand in the process of making X-Men 97. But that didn't deter X-Men 97 from really being a big hit with the fans. It touched on the right things. It did the right things for those that enjoyed and lived through when they were kids. X-Men back in those mid 90s when X-Men came about. I get it. It touched a nostalgic nerve for them because of how well it was created, because it just seemed it looked very much like that old series, but yet had a new flair to it and a new design. The little colors popped and things of that nature, as Josh would say, that really made it, modern, approachable as well. So I think they hit on all the right notes, and I'm assuming that we'll see more of X-Men 97 in the future, my friend.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that they definitely struck gold. I was going to say struck lightning. That's
Mhm.
not quite how it should go. But no, I think that they found the secret sauce, and I think that they just stayed faithful to the cartoon that we all remembered and loved so much. And yeah, no, really well done. It was really good.
Next up on my list, of course, I would be remiss if I did not add onto the list Cobra Kai,
Mhm.
season 6, part 1 and part 2. The third part will be shown sometime here in the spring, uh, and I will miss it dearly because that is the last we will see of Cobra Kai. We're going to see a Karate Kid movie later on. I don't know how much they'll touch on Cobra Kai, but the Karate Kid movie that is coming out this year with Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio, the reason why that movie is taking place, Melinda, is because the fact of the success of Cobra Kai. They can thank Cobra Kai for reviving the Karate Kid brand. The revivals of Karate Kid didn't even do. This show has been a very guilty pleasure for me. It is silly. It is, I guess, also very approachable. Again, I've said for years now how I never liked the Karate Kid series back in the 80s, but because the way this is such a new and different approach to the series, it takes the all the silly elements and makes fun of it and pokes fun of it from the past, and brings it out in here, and just really the cheese, it overflows with the cheese, and I just love it overflowing with the cheese. The thing I hated about it in the 80s is just so what's good about it today. And it will be sad to see them go, but I understand they're aging as fast as uh the kids, that they're growing out of the high school era.
Yeah,
Okay, and but they did have the 20-30 minute long brawl in one of the episodes, which has to be a standard now for every season. They have to have like this brawl, brawl, and then they'll talk right in the middle of it with one of the fellow characters, and then they'll brawl, they continue brawling, and very little blood is like ever shown while they're having all this massive brawls, which is so funny. Unless that there's one critical character that always ends up having all the blood. Outside of
yeah.
that, there's just everybody else is just like beating each other's brains in with no effect. So yes, absolutely. And again, the kids are growing faster than the Stranger Things kids, which is saying something, after all these years, because Stranger Things
Yeah.
kids could almost file for AARP because it's been taking so long. But I will miss Cobra Kai when it finally airs. But the parts 1 and 2 were really good for me, my friend.
Good. I'm glad you enjoy it. I personally don't get that one.
Cheese. It's the cheese. It's the
I know,
cheese.
and I love cheese. Like I love television cheese so much. I love kitsch. I mean, we live in Las Vegas. There has to be a part of you that enjoys cheese. But my goodness, yeah, I just haven't been able to enjoy that one as much as you.
WWE Vault was something that's very on YouTube, and you really want to go back and look at some of the best and things that are out there in the vault of WWE. Some things they've never even shown themselves personally. Some of it's footage that they've acquired that was only shown at that period of time. Some of the stuff that you haven't seen for 10, 20, 30 years. Go ahead and check out the WWE Vault. It's really good. It's something that they brought out as far as and created on a YouTube channel of their own last year, and it's obviously been one of the smartest things I think WWE has done in such a long time because they've got hundreds of thousands of hours of archival footage from them, and also other rival promotions that they've acquired over the years. They're finally showcasing it off, and it's really appreciated. Three Body Problem, which was on
Yes.
Netflix, you and I spoke of, you and I thought of really well. I'm waiting for his season 2, so I can't wait for long for that one. I'm hoping that we'll go ahead and see that one very soon. I want to run this off real quickly. Halo season 2, Josh and I put it on our worst of list, except for that one episode, The Fall of Reach. Take that one episode, and then the entire rest of the series, it's garbage. And I'll just say
Okay.
that again. I know that I think you fell out of Halo as well. I think as far as from what I
Yeah,
remember.
I don't even think that I've made it past the trailer, to be honest with you.
Yeah, you're a smart woman. You are a very
Yeah.
smart woman. Yeah, I fell down that rabbit hole, and I think I fell into hell while I was doing it. Mr. and Mrs. Smith on Amazon season 1 with Donald Glover. I thought that was really really good. So if you get a chance, check it out. Mr. and Mrs. Smith season 1. Speaking of Amazon shows, Fallout. If you didn't get a chance to see Fallout,
Mhm.
it is now one of Amazon's most popular shows. Please go ahead and check out Fallout. I know that their season 2 was delayed because of the LA fires. Here's hoping that they can bring back underway, as long as also as well the entire community of Los Angeles hopefully will begin to heal once again, and that we can also, uh, for those not only being need the help and being taken care of, hopefully by the generosity of others, we can also get a completion of Fallout season 2 because season 1 was really good as well. HBO Max had its good things as well. I'll mention one right now: The Penguin season 1. If you're into the mafia style stuff with a superhero twist to it or superhero tinge to it, Colin Farrell's performance as the Penguin is really, really good. There's some outstanding performances. Melinda, if you do get Max, Penguin is one of the first places I would send you to.
Yeah, I feel like we watched a couple of episodes, and Max is just one of those what is one of the services that we don't watch on a very regular basis. So I'm sure that we just forgot to go back to it. We do that. We're those people.
We're those people indeed. I hear you. I hear you, my friend. There's stuff that Skeleton Crew. I just have to finish that because that's something that I've also done the same thing as well. Um, Even though I really didn't enjoy that too much to start off with. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is something I enjoyed, and it is the best Call of Duty in years.
Wow.
In years, from a story standpoint, from a multiplayer standpoint, from a zombie standpoint, it is the best Call of Duty in years, and I hope everyone gets a chance to check it out if they are into Call of Duty at all, or if they fell off like me. You can get back into it with Black Ops 6, or Blob 6 as they like to call it. The kids like to call it Blob 6, so I'll call it Blob 6. Deadpool and Wolverine, the massive hit for Marvel and Disney. Obviously, I've got to include on the list. I did laugh throughout. Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds, and of course Hugh Jackman as his best friend, frenemy, so to
Yeah.
speak. And that, so
Yeah.
yeah, I did you ever get a chance to watch it?
No, I still haven't. So we have the Hulu with the super package that includes Disney Plus and ESPN Plus. I don't know how to get into Disney Plus now.
Uh-oh. Rob, where are you? Robbie.
What?
There he goes. There he goes indeed. You'll be needed, I know, in the not too distant future from Melinda as regards to
No, like
Disney
we've
Plus.
gone through the big circle of like putting in your username and password, and then the QR code, and then the username and password, and then the QR code. Like we can't get past the loading screen. And then on Paramount Plus now, when I go to watch something that is also on Paramount Plus / Showtime, I just get stuck on a black screen that just says Paramount Plus + Showtime. That's it. What does that
Crazy.
mean?
It
What's
means we need to go.
happened?
We all need to go back to cable. I think that's probably easier. Shogun, of course, one of the best of 2024. How could we go, and how could I be remiss without saying Shogun isn't one of the best of 2024? Again, everything except for one episode was absolutely truly magnificent for me, and I know you and I have been on many episodes. If they want to check out last year's shows, you and I talked about it at length for Shogun. Just an absolutely outstanding hit, and is available now on Disney Plus, which, if you can ever get it working again, and
Oh
Hulu.
man.
And my next one, I'm down to my last three: Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. When it does come out on your PlayStation 5, it is something I highly recommend. It alone, it is the entity that has revived the Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones was doomed to die after the Dial of Destiny. It is now back alive once again because of the Great Circle. It is absolutely a fantastic game, and if you're an Xbox fan on Game Pass, it is something that's worth the Game Pass alone. Last two things right here: the best TV show I watched last year. If you're a Max fan, you probably missed it, and shame on you for doing so. Melinda knows what I'm going to be talking about. It's Tokyo Vice season 2. Which unfortunately did get canceled. Uh, but if you need to go and binge through something, binge through 2 seasons of Tokyo Vice, and you'll thank me later for it. But yes, season 2 wrapped up the entire story very nicely. I think they knew that they were on borrowed time. It is something, again, that I think is well worth your time. Tokyo Vice. And the last thing, and the best thing I saw in pop culture last year, was Dune Part 2.
So
Dune
good.
Part 1 was on my best of. Dune Part 2 was also really good as well. Maybe because I saw it both on different types of formats in the big screen, IMAX, and then a high-end audio system one. But I also saw it the other day on Netflix, and it reminded me of just how good this movie is. So Dune Part 2 is my best of pop culture for 2024. But before we head on out, my friend, I forgot to mention something from CES that you, as a PlayStation lover, might like.
Oh,
Technology that they showcased off. I want to go ahead and mention, yes, they did mention all their upcoming slate of TV movies and things of that nature. We'll sure talk about that up in the upcoming weeks. But at some point in time, they did also debut a future immersive entertainment concept that could be on the way for PlayStation owners, allowing you to interact, experience like the old theme park rides, like the 4D stuff that you used to have, like the SpongeBob and stuff like that. You used to go to the theme parks for, where you can have things that parts in the game that allow you to smell in-game characters' environments. And then, as far as the audio tech being enhanced and atmospheric effects and possibly mist and stuff like that, probably added on, just like that 4D ride in the past. Your thoughts on the future immersive entertainment concept from Sony and PlayStation?
I mean, it's wild, and I don't know how I don't know how you could augment reality more, because that's where I think that uh games are going to be, and I think that it's just going to be a lot of augments on things like that. So to me, it makes sense that there's going to be the smells and water spraying at you and stuff like that. It just makes sense that it becomes the next evolution. Eventually it's going to be a chip in your brain, and you're just going to be able to call it up, and you'll just experience it. And I think anyway. I think that's where we're headed.
And for Robbie's case, you want to implant a chimpanzee's head so you can make sure to get you your coffee as fast as you want it.
That's right, and extra hot.
There you go, indeed.
Not happening.
So for Robbie Ross in the background, Melinda Barkhouse Ross, and me, Gerald Glassford, thanks so much again for watching, listening. It's another beautiful day of paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. Thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day.